Good morning, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I am flying solo this morning, as excited as I was last night with how the Mavs came out with a massive win over the Warriors in Golden State. I was very tired. So, given that the Mavs don't play again until the 19th, I said, you know what? We'll run this thing in the morning and get our day started with a nice cup of coffee with a nice message on the mug, and just roll with it. So, if you didn't watch the game last night, it was absolutely bonkers. There's really not many other ways to describe it. It was unbelievable shot making on both sides. The Mavs ended up winning 143 to 133. Felt like an all-star game because guys were there was effort. It wasn't the greatest defensive effort, but there was effort on both sides. It's just the shot making was unbelievable. Like, you had Lindy Waters for Golden State going 4 of 7 from 3. It was some of the most what's the word? It was some of the most confident threes I've ever, you wouldn't expect Lindy Waters to be pulling up with some of the shots he pulled up with last night, but credit to him, they went in. But overall, very fun game, crazy game for the Mavs to come out and win. The Golden State Warriors had 18 made threes by halftime, and they still trailed by 3. They ended up with 27 made threes on the night and lost by 10. And then my guy Bobby Corrala tweeted out last night, that is the most made threes in a game by a team in NBA history in a loss. Every other team in league history that had made at least 27 threes in a game was 11-0 until last night. So despite the Warriors shooting the lights out from 3, they still end up losing. It's the first time such a thing has happened in NBA history. Some more NBA history in this one. Both teams combined for 48 made threes, which is a league record. It shattered the league record. It surpassed it by 4. So, just crazy shot making all around. Very fun game. Golden State ended up shooting exactly 50% from 3. They shot 47.6% from the field, though. So on their 2-point shots, they were not good at all. To shoot 50% from 3 and then your overall percentage to be below 50, that is not great. And then the Mavs, on the other hand, they shot 51.2% from 3 and nearly 60% overall, 59.8% from the floor. They hit 21 threes of their own in Golden State. So, a very, very fun game. Luka was in absolute control of this thing from the opening tip. Ended up with 45 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Shot 16 of 23 overall. Hit 6 of his 11 free throws. 6 of his 11 threes and 7 of his 9 free throws. There was one sequence in the second half where Brandon how do you say his name? Podzimski. Yeah, that's how you say it. Brandon Podzimski had the ball in the corner. And he had already dribbled, but he had to pick it up, so he pump faked, and he did. He got Luka to jump on the pump fake in the corner. Luka stayed behind him and just kind of circled around him, kind of trying to tap at the ball, and ultimately ended up blocking Pods after about 5 seconds. It was smothering defense, as smothering as you'll see from Luka. One of the highlights of the night. So a very good two-way game for Luka in Golden State. And look, the Mavs owed the Warriors one. After that last game they played, I think they lost what was it, maybe 118 to 114. was the last game they played, and it was an NBA Cup game. And Steph, he was showboating and giving the go to sleep celebration, and he was yelling directly into the camera on ESPN or TNT, whatever channel it was on. It was very embarrassing for the Mavs the last time when that happened. So now, this time around, the Mavs got the best of the Warriors. I'm sure all of these guys remembered what happened at the end of that game the last time they played there, and they got their lick back, so to speak. So very satisfying stuff. PJ Washington even made sure to rub it in at the very end when he subbed out with about 40 seconds to go, and he was going to the bench, and he did multiple, night celebrations on the bench just to let them know. And then he also went to his Instagram page not too far after the game had ended, and posted a picture of the final score with Luka, having a menacing look on his face. And PJ's own caption for that photo was "belt to ass." So if that tells you how the Mavs are feeling after that one, that pretty much sums it up right there. So with the win, the Mavs improved to 17-9 on the season. They improved to 9-6 on the road. They bounced back from that, poor offensive performance they had against Oklahoma City in the game before, and they stay on track as far as where they need to be in the Western Conference standings in this early stages of the season. So 17-9, that has them tied for third place with the Houston Rockets. The Rockets currently have the head-to-head tiebreaker with the Mavs because the Mavs lost the only matchup that they played against the Rockets so far this season. So as of right now, Houston sits at number 3 and Dallas sits at number 4 in the West, even though they both have the same exact record. The Memphis Grizzlies lost to the Los Angeles Lakers last night. So they also have 9 losses, just like the Rockets and Mavs, but they have one more win than those teams. So they're a half game up on Houston and Dallas and sit in the number 2 spot. And then obviously you have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who will be playing in the NBA Cup Championship against the Milwaukee Bucks sometime this week. I think maybe tomorrow. Yeah, Tuesday. Either Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember. So obviously the Thunder are by far the best team in the West this season so far. They have a 3-game cushion on the Grizzlies, who are second. The Mavs are only 3.5 games out of that top seed, and they've split their 2 games against the Thunder. So it's going to be hard to catch OKC, but it's not, it's not impossible because it's a long season and anything can happen. But so far, like I said, the Mavs are right where they need to be. They're solidified in that top 4. They've got almost a 3-game lead over the Nuggets, who are right behind them in the 5th spot. They've won 12 of their last 14 games after that 4-game skid that dropped them to 5-7 on the year earlier this season. So they've completely turned it around. The role players have it going. Klay Thompson is starting to really find his groove, as we saw in Golden State. Luka led the way with 45 points, 45-point triple-double, but Klay, he was second in scoring for the Mavs, had 29 points on 9 of 14 shooting overall, 7 of 11 from 3, and hit 4 of his 5 free throws. You could tell he was very disappointed. He had a free throw in the final minute of the game off of a foul while the Mavs were in the bonus, and he hit the first one to give him 29. And you could tell he really wanted that 30 ball. And he missed the second free throw, and he was you could tell he was giving himself such a hard time after missing that free throw that would have given him the 30 ball. And I think the guys on the bench were kind of giving him a hard time too for missing it. But, you'll live with the 29 points though. He hit 7 of 11 from deep, so you can't you can't be too disappointed if you're Clay, even though it would have been very aesthetically pleasing to see a 3-0 in the box score instead of a 2-9. But he had his 29 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block, and was a team high plus 21 on the night. So Clay had a good outing the last time he played at Golden State, which was his official homecoming, his first game back there, since leaving and going to the Mavs last summer. He had a good offensive performance the last time the Mavs played in Golden State, but they just weren't able to come up with the win. A much more successful homecoming this time around, and he evens the score with his former team. So you love to see that from Clay. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side of this, we're going to talk about a couple other performances that stood out, in my opinion. And then we're going to look ahead to what's coming up for the Mavs with this schedule as we finish out 2024. There's potential for the Mavs to really, pad their record before, going into 2025. And I think the groove that they're in, I really don't expect them to slow down anytime soon. But hang with me. I'm going to pay a few bills. I'll be right back. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, so before we talk about a few other players' performances in this Mavs win over the Warriors, I got to bring up one more thing about Luka. So obviously he's already top 10 in triple doubles all time at 25 years old. When you narrow that down to 40-point triple doubles, he already has 9 of those in his career. 9 40-point triple doubles now for Luka at 25 years old, and that is the 4th most in NBA history. Just unbelievable stuff. When Luka is locked in, there is no better player in the world. And that includes Jokic. Jokic is great. Jokic is fantastic. But, if Luka is fully locked in on both sides of the court, there is no better player in this league. And, it's just a matter of him staying locked in and night out. And, not complaining to the officials and getting back on defense. And he did that against the Warriors, so kudos to him. When he does it, there's no better player. And if he stays healthy and he does this in the playoffs, he will give himself a very good chance to win the first NBA championship of his career. So, very, very cool stuff from Luka. Okay. Some other performances I wanted to bring up. So Kyrie Irving had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. He shot 8 of 16 from the floor overall. He was good. He was good. It wasn't like up to his standards how he's been playing so far this season, but 21 points, 8 assists, that's nothing to scoff at. He did kind of fizzle out in the second half of the fourth quarter, which is something you don't really see, from Kyrie. Typically, he turns it on in the fourth quarter, but you could tell he was missing some shots that he normally wouldn't miss down the stretch. But, it doesn't matter when you have Klay Thompson going 7 of 11 from three and Luka having a 45-point triple-double and, several other guys scoring in double figures. So that just speaks to the depth and the talent that this Mavs roster has this year, that they can, when one guy's not hitting shots he normally hits, you can compensate for it in other ways. So, but overall, I thought Kyrie had a fine game. He just, like I said, down the stretch when he had a chance to put the dagger in the Warriors way before, because this game, it was one of those games where you just didn't feel safe, celebrating a W until like the final minute when, the Mavs were up 8, I think, 8 or 9. And it was the final minute and the starters got pulled from the game, and until that point, it wasn't a game where you felt like, okay, well, this is over. It always felt like, the Warriors could have hit a couple threes at any moment in time and it'd be a one possession game heading into the final minute or two. So, that's the only reason I bring up the Kyrie, misses. And I'm not criticizing him, because I know some people will listen to this and say, oh, why are you being hard on him? I'm not. I'm just saying he had a few opportunities there, around the 5 minute mark to really put a dagger in the Warriors. And it was just shots he normally hits, and he didn't. But it's fine. It's fine. The Mavs, they prove why they're such a well-rounded team, and it doesn't matter if somebody's off. I mean, we saw what Luka did against OKC in the previous game, and the Mavs, they tried their best, but they couldn't overcome the the absence of PJ Washington, which is who I want to talk about next, because PJ, he only had he had 13 points and he only had 4 rebounds. 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. That's a pretty productive night for him, because he does a little bit of everything. His defensive impact, even though the Warriors, scored 133 points, a lot of that was due to outrageous 3-point shooting. But, PJ Washington's defensive impact and then his ability to make the Mavs offense run as smoothly as we've ever seen it is so underrated. Like, PJ Washington is the glue for this Mavs team. Luka is great. He's the MVP candidate, the league MVP candidate on the Mavs. I would argue that PJ Washington might be the MVP for this Mavs team, just because of his ability to connect everything on both ends of the floor. And the record speaks for itself, because the Mavs are 16-4 in games when PJ plays this season. They're only 1-5 when he doesn't play. So PJ, very important, very important. Wish the Mavs would have had him, in that Oklahoma City game, because that's just one of those guys that he's important as is, like, no matter who the Mavs are playing, but especially when they play OKC. PJ is very important to have on the court, because he is a certified thunder killer. So, if PJ is fully healthy going into the playoffs, that's what you want to see. Hopefully everybody's fully healthy going into the playoffs, but, PJ makes a big, big difference. So the only Derek Lively, he was a perfect 4-4. He was the only Mav to not score in double figures, but in 30 minutes as a starter, he had 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Again, he was perfect 4-4 from the floor. Daniel Gafford, no surprise, scoring in double figures off the bench. Had 10 points, 9 rebounds. 4 of those were offensive rebounds. He had 1 assist, shot 5 of 7 overall. And then the other Mavs player to score in double figures was Quentin Grimes in 19 minutes off the bench. Hit 4 of his 8 threes. Had a couple rebounds and a steal to throw in there too. So that was all of your double figure scoring for the Mavs. Omax Prosper, he continues to get consistent minutes while Maxi Kleba is out. Supposedly Kleba is out with an illness, and then it also showed up on the latest injury report that he had a broken rib, which kind of came out of nowhere. So he is going to be out for a little bit, I would imagine. And, I think even when he comes back, Omax has earned the right to continue to play over him because, in 13 minutes last night, he hit a three. He had 3 rebounds. He had 2 assists. No turnovers, which is great to see from a second-year player. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you look at this guy, and he's not like showing tons of production as far as scoring points and all that. But I mean, look, you secure some rebounds, you get a couple of assists, you hit a 3. He's one of 2 from 3 in those 13 minutes, and you do a good job handling the ball and making the right plays. Stuff like that you can live with, and these are meaningful minutes for Omax, and that's what you like to see. He might not be getting a ton of minutes, but he's getting meaningful minutes, and he's playing well in those meaningful minutes, and that is big for his production. His development and potential production going forward. So, love to see that from Omax. For example, he had the ball in transition one time last night. Immediately saw Luka on the left wing, swung it to him quickly. Luka had a catch and shoot 3 opportunity, nailed it. That's where one of his assists came from. Let's see, they got the ball to Omax in the corner one time. He pump faked. It was Steph that ran out to contest. He pump faked Steph, drove past Steph, passed it to the other corner, which ended up being a hockey assist. I believe that one went to Clay on that specific play. My memory on that particular play is kind of fuzzy. I know it was a hockey assist, but the point is, he's not settling and he's making smart basketball plays. And we knew he had a high basketball IQ. The whole thing with Omax was, when he was getting scarce opportunities before this, is, he was a little too hyped up. He kind of got ahead of himself a little bit, which hurt him. But, you can tell, and he said this the other day, after that OKC game, that the game has slowed down for him a little bit. And you can tell. I mean, he seems comfortable out there, and that is just huge for the Mavs going forward because he is a very big dude. He is 6'8". He is very long. He has excuse my alarm there. Very long. Like his legs are massive. Has a large wingspan. He's everything you want from a wing, with the defensive capabilities that he has, and he's showing his offensive versatility too, especially when he's able to, hit a 3 or 2 in his scarce minutes. So, again, we've been singing his praises for the last couple games, and it continues for Omax. And this is the vision that my co-host DJ and I have had this entire season. When it became apparent that Maxi Kleba wasn't going to be the same guy that he was before. He had all these injuries, and he's kind of hesitant on offense and just isn't moving as well as he used to. It just makes sense to go with the 22-year-old second-year player who is capable of doing what we've seen over these last 2 games, which is giving the Mavs productive minutes. You don't need a lot. But 13 minutes production, I don't want to say he's contributing a ton because people say I'm overhyping Omax, and I'm not. I'm just saying having a positive impact in some of those minutes and giving guys like PJ Washington a break, especially in a game that Najee Marshall missed. That's big. It's big now, and it's big going into the future because the Mavs are going to need guys. They're going to need more capable bodies to use in games where certain guys might get in foul trouble or might miss due to injury. And I think Omax will really be, his style of play and his, the way he's built seems like he's perfect for playoff basketball. So that's what I'm excited about. If, get his confidence up, get his experience up to where you can throw him out there and, get some production from him in the postseason. And then you don't have to, worry about Maxey getting played off the court, or, if Gafford or Lively end up getting played off the court because teams go small. You have another option there with Omax. So overall, very good win for the Mavs. Very excited for what's to come for this team. Looking at the schedule, we're officially done with the NBA Cup stuff now. That Warriors game was added last second. And now the Mavs return home for a 4-game homestand that will go through Christmas. 2 games back-to-back against the Clippers on Thursday and Saturday. And then next week on Monday, they play the Portland Trailblazers. And then on Christmas, they play Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So 4 very winnable games. I'd argue that the Minnesota game is going to be the toughest because they've been playing a lot better basketball lately. But 4 very winnable games. And then after that, they'll go on a 4-game road trip that will take them through the end of 2024. But, all those games are winnable too. Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, and then New Year's Day they play at Houston, which should be a fun one too. So overall, great stuff. Very, very happy, very excited. The Mavs got that big win in Golden State. That was cathartic. Watching all those shots go in was absolutely insane. We got to witness some NBA history, and it felt good to see the Mavs be on the right side of that history this time around. So, guys, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and be sure to go like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Really helps us out. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Everywhere you get your podcasts, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.